Hello people, David here and welcome to another Btekt. And today I want to compare two pretty amazing smartphone cameras, the Google Pixel 3 and Honor's brand new View 20. If you like photography, then these are two handsets that should definitely be on your radar. The Pixel, as many of you know, is probably one of the best smartphone cameras that money can buy right now. It has a single 12 megapixel sensor and that's it. No multi-lens madness, as we've seen through most of 2018 with almost every other smartphone. Just one single camera lens with extra large 1.4 micron pixels and an f1.8 lens. The Honor View 20 also has an f1.8 lens covering that new Sony 48 megapixel sensor, and for backup and depth of field information, the View 20 is also using a 3D time of flight sensor. This sensor scans the scene with an infrared beam and then measures the slight differences in time in how long different parts of the beam take to get back to the sensor. The View 20, even though it has that huge megapixel count, delivers most of its shots at 12 megapixels, where it combines 4 pixels into one from the 48 megapixel sensor, and the result is an incredibly sharp and detailed 12 megapixel image. There is some clever software in both of these devices. So in this video, I want to find out, when it comes to smartphones, is it really all about the megapixels? Or is 48 million pixels just overkill? Looking through the camera app, and they both have the usual camera shooting modes that you would expect in such phones, such as the portrait mode and augmented reality games. You do get a bit more choice however with the View 20, with it having things like the light painting mode, and it also has an aperture mode which allows you to shoot video on the View 20 with a simulated aperture between f.95 and f16. Although the Pixel doesn't really need an aperture mode, it can get portrait style blurry background shots with its portrait mode, whether there be a human subject in the frame or not. The portrait mode on the Honor will only do its thing when it detects a human subject in the frame, so you can't use it to get shallow depth of field shots with something non-human. AR modes on both cameras are good fun, although I do prefer how it's executed on the Pixel, with a huge choice of downloadable stickers and characters to play around with, if that's your thing. When it comes to the app itself, the Pixel is just more organised and user-friendly than the Honor. The Honor camera app is pretty much the same as almost every other Honor and Huawei device at the moment. Maybe it needs a bit of a refresh. But anyway, let's get down to the meat of the situation and take a look at some of the photos side by side. I'll mainly be shooting at 12 megapixels with the Honor, as that is technically where the best pictures are taken, and it makes it more comparable with the 12 megapixel sensor on the Pixel. I will throw in some 48 megapixel shots for comparison as well, but mostly they will be at 12 megapixels. Now first up, what I'm noticing is that there's a touch more saturation and contrast on the View 20. That's not to say that the Pixel shots are washed out, far from it, but if you notice in this shot, the View 20 has coloured the sky a much brighter shade of blue, which does indicate to me that even though the View 20 shots are more saturated, the colours on the Pixel are more natural. But having said that, I think I prefer what the View 20 has done with the scene, but others will disagree. Now this shot is really quite impressive from the OnePlus 6T. This is at their maximum zoom range, and it had no problems of locking onto those guys washing the windows right at the top of that building. But I tried 2 or 3 times with the Honor and it just could not achieve focus. I don't think it could tell the difference between the colour of the building and the colour of the sky. Looking very closely at this picture of the take gallery, there does seem to be quite a bit more detail on the View 20. The bricks on the building just seem more defined, but this time the Pixel is showing more contrast and saturation. This shot is a 48 megapixel shot from the View 20, and for me there definitely is far more detail when compared to the Pixel. If we zoom up and look closely at his chest, then they almost look like 2 different castings of the same piece. This one again is another 48 megapixel shot, and I think it's clear to see how much more detail you can see, especially in the frame, but also the image does seem to be a little bit brighter and cleaner than the Pixel. The View 20 keeps the wall white, while there is a slight yellow tint on the Pixel 3. For me, in these types of situations where you want to capture lots of fine detail, shooting at 48 megapixels makes sense on the View 20. But you do have to be careful as handshake is more pronounced in this mode. Let's have a look at the portrait modes. This is where the View 20 should have a clear advantage over the Pixel 3, because it has that dedicated 3D time of flight sensor, so you would expect the portrait shots on the View 20 to be on another level. Judging from these shots, it still can't beat the Pixel 3. I found that the time of flight sensor does improve the accuracy over previous Honor and Huawei devices, and when it works very well, but results can vary depending on your subject. I found that it works very well with bright objects, but darker objects take longer for it to recognize and achieve focus. I've just noticed that darker objects, it seems to track pretty badly, but the Pixel 3 is still unbeatable when it comes to portrait shots. Both phones I found to be incredible in low light situations, and that's without using their specialist night modes. Again, you can see a slightly unrealistic colour to the sky with the View 20, but it still makes for a really pleasing shot. Let's have a look at the video. Both shoot at up to 4K and at 30 frames per second and have beautifully stabilised footage. But for me here, it's an easy win for the Pixel 3. I find it to just have a more natural colour tone to it and a slightly higher dynamic range. The stabiliser is better on the Pixel as well. There isn't really much wrong with the stabiliser on the View 20 during the day, but as soon as the lights get low and the thing is all over the place. It's the same on other Huawei devices, such as the Mate 20 Pro. Low light video suffers from a serious jelly effect, and I'm a bit surprised that they haven't cracked that problem yet. The low light video isn't actually that bad, it's just ruined by the stabiliser. If you keep the camera still while shooting in low light, there's nothing wrong with the footage. I'm sure it's something they're going to sort out with updates pretty soon, but when? Before we go on, let me say a big thank you to Direct Mobiles for looking after us here at Btekt. With over 24 years of award-winning customer service, it's a fantastic place to go and look if you're in the market for a new phone. Plus now they have comparison tools to make sure that you're getting the right deal. So check in the video description below for a link to their deals, or search directmobiles.co.uk. Front cameras, and again it's an easy win for the Google Pixel 3 if you ask me. The 25 megapixel front camera on the Honor View 20, like all Honor and Huawei devices, has a very warm tone to it and really goes in with those beautifying effects. They can mostly be switched off, but why should I have to do it? I wish they would just give me a nice natural looking front camera like you see on the Google Pixel 3. The AI stabilization on the front camera is excellent, however it does suffer from the same problems that I mentioned about the rear camera. Hopefully that will get fixed through updates. Overall, I think that the View 20 actually can outperform the Pixel 3 in certain situations and in certain modes. The 48 megapixel shots do have loads of detail, but if you do buy this phone for its camera, then I do recommend investing in a little attachment so you can connect it to a tripod. Shooting at 48 megapixels and getting a critically sharp shot is quite tricky. So much resolution means it's hard to get a truly sharp shot handheld, even in the daytime, and even harder if you use the 48 megapixel ultra clarity shot. But in other areas, in my opinion, the Pixel is much better. Easily a better selfie camera, especially with the ultra wide angle lens on the front, and despite that 3D sensor on the Honor, better depth of field shots. But all in all, I had a great time testing out both of them. Two excellent phones, and if you're interested in either of these, well then I hope this video helped. If it did, then please hit the subscribe button, double tap notifications, and smash the like button for me. I'm David, and this is Btekt.